Hey guys, welcome to the autokonnekt juxtaposition, the segment where we compare and contrast two vehicles within the same class and the same price tag. But today's review starts on a high note because guess what? We finally have an autokonnekt meet and greet that you can be part of. Now, on the 26th of October this month, we are going to have our autokonnekt meet and greet, and the event is dubbed Stories a Garage because we are going to sit down, chill, have some nyama and drinks, talk about cars, and get to learn about insurance, asset financing, and everything, including maintenance, within the car ownership journey. So if you want to be part of the event, you can get a ticket. The link is in the description below. And Andy, our videographer, will put up the poster right here. Let's get back to the review. If you're shopping for a European compact crossover SUV in Kenya, you'll be spoiled for choice because there are so many European crossover SUVs in the market today. However, on this review, we were on a quest to get two of the most preferred European compact crossover SUV. Na kwa sababu ya hiyo tukaamka bukrata na chee kabla ya jogoo wa kwanza kuwika na tukatembea guu mosi guu pili hadi Carplicity, the home of affordable quality cars, and they gave us two vehicles. Yes. Now, let me tell you something small about these two European compact crossover SUVs. They are within the same price tag, but their value proposition is quite different. They are popular, they are sporty, they are luxurious. They have all that to offer. But one of them stands out in terms of value, and the other one has a very strange market trend. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the 2017 Volvo XC60 inscription versus the 2017 Audi Q5 Quattro B9, and we are doing this juxtaposition episode because autokonnekt is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. And remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. My handle is Eric with a CK. Now let's get up close and candid with these two European compact crossover SUVs. I would like to start this comparison with a disclaimer. This right here is the 2017 Audi Q5, the B9 edition of it, or if you get too technical, it's the Type FY. If you get this car from Carplicity, now this is a high trim of the Q5, it's the S line, and if you're getting this vehicle without a sunroof, it will set you back around 4.6 million Kenya shillings, 4.5, 4.6 million Kenya shillings. But if you get it with a sunroof, it will set you back 5.1 million Kenya shillings. Yes, sunroof inafanya uspend 500,000 more. What about the Volvo XC60 inscription? Now, this one is retailing for 5.1 million Kenya shillings at Carplicity. If you want to inquire about these vehicles or any other vehicles at Carplicity, namba ya Devi iko hapo kwa description. Now, between these vehicles, assuming they are retailing for the same price tag, 5.1 million Kenya shillings, which one will give you more value based on your personal preferences? We are going to start the juxtaposition by getting up close and candid with the Volvo XC60 and get to talk about its unique selling points. Does it really surpass the Audi Q5? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2017 Volvo XC60 Inscription Edition. It is the second generation of the Volvo XC60, and it is built on the sustainable product architecture platform. And this platform came at the time when Geely acquired Volvo, and this whole platform has so many features that I can say make the XC60 unbeatable in its class. If you're shopping around for a European crossover SUV, then the Volvo XC60 beats the rest in terms of style. If you're a stylish person, and in this way, style without shouting, because it's really elegant yet really subtle. And one of the conspicuous features of the XC60 is the Thor's hammer design headlights, and they look really good on the road, especially with the daytime running headlights. So the prima facie of the XC60 is very, very, very impressive. But now the question is, what powers up the 2017 Volvo XC60? There is a interesting series here that I would like us to talk about, because it makes this vehicle simple yet complicated at the same time. The reason why I said simple yet complicated is because of the nomenclature of the new engines that are powering up the XC60 in the Volvo lineup. Well, under the hood of this particular one is a petrol engine. Now, this is a T5 all-wheel drive. If it was a diesel, it would be a B5. So, if you see a Volvo XC60 with B5 and another one with T5, T is basically petrol, B is basically a diesel. B stands for diesel. But on this review, I want us to be specific to this particular one, that is petrol. With the Volvo XC60, the entire series of the second generation XC60, they are powered, the petrol series to be specific, they are powered by the same engine. And this was because of, Volvo's quest towards sustainability, to try and use smaller engines on their cars to reduce emissions and also to improve fuel economy. Now, this particular one is an engine called the B4204 engine. However, if you're getting the XC60, you might get this engine in three variants. There is the T26, the T23, and the T20. This particular one is the T20, and it churns out around 246 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. Power is transmitted to all the four wheels, because this is an all-wheel drive, through an 8-speed Aisin automatic gearbox. The all-wheel drive system on this one is a Haldex traction all-wheel drive system, and Volvo has been using Haldex all-wheel drive systems on their front-wheel drive vehicles for a while now. So it's something common on when it comes to Volvo. The power output might vary based on which engine your Volvo XC60 is running on, or which particular variant of this engine your XC60 is running on. It might be running on the T26, the T23, or this T20. There are small but significant changes in power output. Okay, you also get the diesel variants and also the hybrid variants of the XC60. In most cases, the hybrid ones will be the T8s. The more powerful performance variants of these ones will be the T6. But now this is the T5, and the T4 are a bit low in the hierarchy of power. Now, what makes this vehicle valuable, or where does the value come in? We know Volvo is known for safety, and the first generation of the XC60 was exciting to drive, but not as exciting as this particular XC60, and I'll explain why. But we start with what Volvo is known for, and that is safety. So this vehicle features Volvo's IntelliSafe system. So you remember, for those of you who did GHC or social studies, Mnakumbuka, in Kenya we have the Harambee philosophy, and it has 4 pillars. So on the Volvo's IntelliSafe system, we also have 4 pillars. And which are these 4 pillars? Number 1, we have city safety. Now, city safety keeps you safe when you're driving through the city. It has provisions, to warn you when pedestrians are crossing, animals, all sorts of obstacles that come within the city. It can even stop. Yeah, it can brake without the driver's intervention if the pedestrian is too close to the vehicle. So these are part of Volvo's IntelliSafe system, and that is pillar number 1, city safety. Pillar number 2 is what is called the oncoming lane mitigation. And this is how it works. Now, oncoming lane mitigation is the feature whereby if you're driving your Volvo XC60 on a single carriage road and you tend to veer off your lane and there is oncoming traffic, the vehicle will steer itself back to its lane to avoid the oncoming traffic. And this is because the XC60 is, the environment around it is monitored by cameras that are, around the vehicle. The third pillar might sound similar to what I've just talked about, but it's quite different, because that is the lane keeping assist. Now, what the lane keeping assist does, it's basically lane departure assist that warns you when you're veering off the road. But now, when we talk about the other pillar, that one, the oncoming traffic mitigation, that one has even the ability to steer your vehicle back to its lane to avoid collision. But this one is basically for lane keeping, and it's also usable even on dual carriage roads when we don't have oncoming traffic. The fourth pillar is actually quite interesting. On Kenyan roads, huwezi avoid kugongewa. That is the truth of the matter. And you might get an impact from the front or from the rear or even from the side. Now, Volvo's IntelliSafe system has a feature or a pillar that is called runoff mitigation. Now, runoff mitigation is, when nimesema on Kenyan roads, huwezi avoid, sometimes in some situation, huwezi avoid kugongewa. So you might be driving and a matatu comes in from the rear na haina brakes, and the vehicle might detect that the oncoming obstacle will collide with your vehicle. So what does it do? It tightens your belts to keep you safe in the seats before the collision happens. And that is both for the front, for the rear and the front, because again we have the cameras monitoring. The other thing we need to talk about this Volvo in matters safety is also the cross traffic alert systems, because it also has that, and also BLIS, blind spot monitoring system. So it's a very safe vehicle, and Volvo is known for its legacy of safety. In 2024, this year, something unexpected happened concerning the Volvo XC60. We know the Volvo XC60 for being a very safe vehicle, and there is this award that is called the Top Safety Pick Award. The XC60 scored very well when it came to the front impact, the rear impact, but the overlaps, how NCAP does it. So, but something interesting happened. We know Volvo for the side impact protection system, or SIPS. So when the Top Safety Pick in 2024 tried to test this Volvo XC60 for the side impact, it did not score. There are scores. There is good and there is acceptable. Now, unfortunately, in 2024, the second generation of the Volvo XC60 just scored an acceptable. Yes, even if you look at it, they say the side impact protection is just acceptable. It's not good. Some vehicles like the Audi Q5 scored good. Research about it, read about it, it's quite interesting. However, that does not impede Volvo's legacy of safety. The other thing that makes the XC60 quite fun to drive is the suspension system. And this is courtesy of Volvo's scalable product architecture, or the SPA platform. And when it comes to the engines, there is the downsizing of engines and all that. Volvo is building their engines based on the Volvo engine architecture. But now the platform, the SPA, has brought in some very interesting provisions. For instance, we know the XC60, the engine is mounted transversely, so that makes it front-wheel drive biased. However, it has dual wishbone suspension at the front, and it's not just any dual or double wishbone suspension. No, it's a double wishbone suspension with a small kingpin angle. And what this does is that it gives you more grip, and this grip does not only come from the small kingpin angle, it's also aided by the high camber gain on the Volvo XC60. The handling is not only influenced by the front suspension, no, it's also influenced by the rear suspension. If you look at most European compact crossover SUVs, they boast of independent rear suspension, but on the XC60, things are a bit different because they have what they call the integral link rear axle. So the backbone of that integral link rear axle is a transverse leaf spring. Yes, that moves from one side all the way to the other side. Now, this has a very positive impact on handling because it gives you more grip. How does it result to more grip? You remember, on the front suspension, we said there is a small kingpin angle and also high gains when it comes to camber. Now, this one, on the rear, you also get high camber stiffness or camber stiffness. And one other thing is precise wheel control. Yeah, so when you're driving this vehicle, you get impeccable handling. Let's talk about the other thing that you will gain from when you buy the Volvo XC60. That is space. The Volvo XC60 is bigger and more spacious compared to the Audi Q5. And the winning bit of the XC60 is the interior and the infotainment system. Let's talk about the interior and the infotainment system of the Volvo XC60. The interior of the XC60 is simply premium, even the infotainment system, and I would like us to interact with it. And not only that, even the sound system on the inscription is simply out of this world. The infotainment system of the XC60 is drenched in tech, and it is also a very interactive one. The other thing, in terms of aesthetics, it is very well placed, it looks good, it's appealing to the eye, and when you play music, it is delivered to your ears through a Bowers and Wilkins sound system, and the clarity, the bass, the treble on this vehicle is just, it's perfect. We can call it a good sound system because it's well balanced. And gone are the days when Volvo was for old boring people who just wanted safety for their family. It has evolved. And okay, even those days we still had a few models of Volvos that would thrill purists or enthusiasts, but there were not so many. In fact, the perception about Volvo was Volvo is safe. So it is not for the cool people, it's not for the people who want to be thrilled, it's for the people who want to be safe. Well, I can confidently say that even to enthusiasts, in spite of all the safety and all that, Volvo has been able to blend in performance, safety, and also luxury, because it's not only drenched in tech, it's also drenched in luxury. If you want to have fun with this vehicle, you can switch the drive modes. You have Eco, Comfort, Off-Road, and Dynamic. Now, Dynamic is high performance. Off-Road is the mode you use when you're driving on rough roads. In fact, on the screen it says rough road. Then Comfort is for the everyday use, and Eco is when you want to save some fuel. So it's a vehicle that is quite versatile. The cluster is digital. Then you have very well laid out steering controls. You have an electronic tailgate. You have memory seats. it's basic and it looks good, plus the panoramic sunroof. The Audi Q5 is loved by many in Kenya because of its sporty nature. In fact, in the recent past, we have seen the Audi nameplate become more embraced, with most young or youthful Kenyans buying the Audi sedans and the Audi wagons, and also the Audi crossover SUVs, both compact and subcompact. But with regard to the Q5, we're going to talk about what it has to offer, especially for a price tag of 5.1 million if you get it with the sunroof, because if you don't, it saves you 500,000 Kenya shillings. And that brings up the question, are sunroofs really that essential when it comes to vehicles? Let's start by the prima facie. The Audi Q5 is, comparing it to the XC60, it's not as stylish. In fact, the XC60 is almost unbeatable when it comes to style. However, the Audi also brings out that element of, you know, a sporty look, even the grille and the headlights, and they speak about the Audi DNA. And there are so many people who love this subtle conservative look, but you know, we must call a spade a spade. The XC60 looks way better comparing it to the Q5. But now let's talk about the engine, because this is where most people will prefer or love the Audi Q5 for. Now, unlike, comparing it to the Volvo XC60, we are having a similar engine in terms of displacement and also the number of cylinders. However, I'm going to give a disclaimer, because if you get the SQ5, it will come with a bigger engine, and also there are some diesel variants of the Q5. So we are going to strictly talk about the Q5 S-Line and not talk about the SQ5, but that will not take us away from the element of performance. The Q5 is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. Yes, and the sporty nature of Audi is expressed in this engine because it gives us more power and more torque compared to the XC60 inscription. To be specific, the T5, because if we talk about the T6, things change, and if we talk about the SQ5, things change even more. So let's stick this review to the Q5 and the T5, right? So the power figures from this engine are 252 horsepower. Now this is 6 horsepower more than the XC60 and 370 Newton meters of torque, which is 20 Newton meters of torque more than the XC60. Now the other significant difference is that the XC60 power is transmitted to the wheels through an 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission from Aisin and a Haldex all-wheel drive system. But on the Q5, you have a 7-speed DSG from VW Audi. And you know, direct shift gearboxes are known for their quick shifts, and power is transmitted to all the 4 wheels through Audi's Quattro. And as I always say, 2 of the world's best all-wheel drive systems are number 1 Audi Quattro and number 2 Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive. So it's a reliable all-wheel drive system that has been tried and tested. But I'm not saying that the Haldex one on the XC60 is bad. I'm only saying that the Quattro all-wheel drive system has been here for a long time, and it has been tried, tested, it has been used even in motorsport, and that is what makes Quattro very special to many people or many Kenyans. Now it has a sporty setup, and that now twists the conversation to something else: fuel economy. Did you know that the Audi Q5 with a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine has slightly better fuel economy compared to the Volvo XC60? Yes. Now, that is something that is when you're driving on efficient, actually on all driving modes, this one will achieve slightly better fuel economy compared to the XC60. Now the other thing we have to talk about is the suspension system. Again, this has conventional double wishbones at the front and independent rear suspension. It is smaller compared to the XC60, meaning it has less cargo space, less passenger space. Let's take a look at the interior and try compare it to the XC60. The Q5 is designed to have a sporty orientation, and that is what you get when you sit in it. However, if you try and compare the interior quality between this and that of the XC60, the XC60 is miles ahead. In fact, it makes the interior of the Q5 feel plain and with too much plastic. Actually, it makes it feel below par if you're from sitting in a XC60 inscription. Now, it still has leather seats, and but they are not as good. And this is something I find odd about the Q5. You see, with the center console, yes, it looks very busy comparing it to that of the Q5, and it also looks quite a bit complicated because of this pad over here, which I don't see it's too busy compared to what it has to offer or the usability of it. In fact, it is not as user friendly. You know, with the XC60, it's pretty much straightforward. Now, this is Audi's MMI infotainment system, and even the screen on the Q5 is not as pleasant as the one in the XC60. In a car screen ya Mazda, it does not bring out that European vibe. But what about the sporty aspect of this vehicle? Now, Audi have tried to keep their vehicles engaging to the driver and a bit conservative. They have an analog cluster for the speedo and the tachometer, but in the middle, pale katikati, they have a digital one. It's very visible. The steering controls are also very, they are not bad, but the ones on the XC60 really look fancy. You still get memory seats, and matters safety, it still has lane departure assist, it has autonomous emergency braking. In fact, it scores a 5-star safety rating. So it's also equally safe, and it also has the ability to brake without the driver's intervention. So in terms of safety manenos, these two vehicles are quite safe. Although now, if you sit in the Q5 and imagine that you're going to pay 5.1 million for it, well, with this one it's okay because you're paying 4.6 million without the sunroof. But in case they just cut out a hole in the roof, because that's what a sunroof is, the price inflates by 500,000 Kenya shillings. But there's one thing I value about the Q5, and that is how it handles on the road. It's more powerful. It keeps your adrenaline high. It has the power to save fuel and also have fun with this vehicle. It has, a very good all-wheel drive system. And talking about when this comes into play, Quattro is very versatile. And if you come to the drive select feature, you can select. Actually, you have 6 driving modes, unlike the XC60, which has not so many. This one has off-road mode. Okay, the Q5 has off-road mode. That is when you're going off-road, and that is where Quattro might shine. You also have efficiency. Efficiency is when you want to save fuel. You have comfort. This is for highway driving, normal highway driving. You have auto. Auto is the default driving mode. You have dynamic when you want to have fun with the Q5 and bring out the beast in the Q5, and then you have the individual mode, which you can customize and customize towards your own preference. So in as much as the Q5 might not beat the XC60 in terms of comfort, in terms of space, in terms of luxury, in terms of the suspension system, it has 2 unique selling points. For a person who is looking at the sportiness of this vehicle, or sportiness in a car, there is no. I think only BMWs would rival the Audis when it comes to proper driving experience, especially for people who love driving. Now, the other thing I would like to talk about is something that is called technical support. The Q5 is in the Volkswagen Audi group, and it's a conversation that might not go well with the Volvo owners, but fact of the matter is, the Q5 is like, Volkswagen Audi is like the Toyota of European cars. There is a lot of technical support that you will get with the Q5 as compared to the Volvo XC60. With the ownership journey, we must talk about the facts on the ground. So yes, the Q5 has more technical support than you would get, with the XC60. We have so many mechanics who have mastered VWs as compared to the number of mechanics that would fix your Volvo. In fact, the good Volvo experts in Nairobi are countable, but with VW we have many popping up every day. So in terms of technical support, you have more technical support on the Q5 than you would on the XC60. Okay, and now the most important segment of this review, the value for money segment. If you buy any of these two from Carplicity, they are going to set you back around 5.1 million Kenya shillings. Well, ukienda hapo useme umetumwa na Eric with a CK watakupatia kitu kidogo. But I told you, this one does not have a sunroof. So if you are buying the Audi Q5 without a hole on the roof, it will set you back only around 4.6 million Kenya shillings. But if you want the one walikata huko kwa roof wakakuwekea dirisha juu, you're going to have to top up 500,000 Kenya shillings and it will get to 5.1 million Kenya shillings. And I keep on asking you guys, are sunroofs this important? Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. So let's talk about which one would you go for in terms of value. Definitely the Volvo XC60 scores higher in terms of looks. It's more stylish. In terms of practicality, it's bigger. It has more passenger space and more cargo space. It's also, we can say it's very safe. Both of them have a 5-star rating in terms of safety, but we know Volvo has a legacy of safety. The suspension technology is just, impeccable. Even that, that it gives you an upper hand in terms of driving safety because you get to have more grip. But where does it lose? And these are sober conversations that we need to have. The biggest losing point of the XC60, and this might change with time, I want you to note what I've said, this might change with time, is technical support. We have more technical support with the Audi Q5 in Kenya today. The Volkswagen Audi family, we have so many mechanics, so many technicians, so many parts suppliers for VAG vehicles. And as I said earlier on, the technicians who we can call proper Volvo mechanics or Volvo technicians in Nairobi, they are countable. They are not that many. When it comes to parts, well, we normally say the world has become a global village and you can import any part in record time. But remember, there is something that is called downtime. So when it comes to local availability of parts, now the Q5 will have, again, an obvious advantage. But as the XC60s become more in the Kenyan market, we will have more part suppliers, we'll have more technicians as guys continue to learn this vehicle. But overall, it scores higher compared to the Q5 because it's more luxurious, it has more, it's drenched in technology, and even in terms of looks, it's a looker. But let's talk about the Q5. Is the Q5 really that bad? Comparing it to the XC60, well, there might be nothing much to talk about. In fact, apart from technical support and driving thrill, well, we do not have any other thing to talk about the Q5. But the Q5 would appeal to a more youthful market compared to the XC60, which will appeal to, the older guys, the older generation, because this one is bound to be, it's a vehicle that is bought for its sporty nature, for the driving thrill. But this one is more for, it's a mature vehicle. The XC60 is quite mature and si gari ya watu wako na mambo mingi. But the Q5, in spite of being smaller, it's way more sporty. It's more powerful. The gear shifts are, really good. And yeah, that makes it will give it a notch, an inch higher. In fact, in terms of driving experience, it takes the lead comparing it to the Volvo XC60. But remember I told you this one runs on a 7-speed DSG transmission. If you get the SQ5, which we said we are not talking about in this particular review, it will run on again an 8-speed ZF transmission, which would make it equal to this one, which has an 8-speed auto. But we are limiting this review to, you know, apples to apples. So the S-Line comes with a 7-speed DSG, and the gear shifts are quite quick and quite thrilling, and that is what now gives this an upper hand in terms of driving experience. So what do you think? Which one would you go for? Would you go for the XC60 or would you go for the Q5? Remember, you can view these cars at Carplicity, and if you want to call Carplicity to book a test drive of any, call David. His number is in the description below. Also remember to subscribe to our channel AutoKonnekt, and we offer services such as pre-purchase inspection, usinunue gari kama mbuzi, and sourcing services as well. I've been your host Eric Wakabi, Eric with the CK. Remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. So till Tuesday, see you guys. Be safe.